So good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you and welcome to February 2024, our coffee chat experience. My name is Doug Nelson, principal here at Wootton High School, and I really appreciate everyone joining this morning. Just a little note about what we do here. I know we have some familiar faces, but we perhaps maybe have someone new joining us for the first time, and that is great. The purpose of the coffee chat is really an opportunity for anyone who might want to ask a question. Something simple, straightforward, technical, something that is kind of bigger or broader, and you just really want to know what the school's take is about a particular topic. And oftentimes we will also come back to specific conversations again. We will revisit some recursive conversations here at the principal chat. Whatever it is that you would like to explore, by all means, please ask those questions this morning, and I'm going to do my very best to give you an honest response to that question. I can't promise that I can always get an answer to every question, but sometimes it is I can go back and try to look into a matter a little bit further and follow up with you and provide you information from there. So we're going to do our best this morning. Before we actually get into opening up with questions, I just wanted to share a couple of really great updates from the school this week. You may have noticed in the community update from this past Sunday, Wootton went through an experience this week that was pretty unique. So a part of the Maryland Blueprint for Excellence is that there is a process by which every school eventually in the state will go through an evaluation process. And they call this an expert review team. And so this being year one of that rollout, 10 schools were selected in Montgomery County to experience this review process for the first time. And Wootton, we experienced it on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. So we had 6 visitors who have been trained by MSDE to come out and do specific work. It really centers around examining artifacts that the school has submitted in specific areas or arenas of what a school's program is going to offer. Part A, Part B, they're going to sit down with what they call focus groups, and those are broadly across students, staff, and parent stakeholder groups. And they are also going to visit classrooms to see what instruction is like for our students here on a daily basis. And so over 2 days, we went through that process and we completed it successfully. And so in the coming days, there'll be some follow-up items, but eventually what happens for our school and what I think is very important, of course, as a principal, very proud of what we do here. I think we offer a really rich experience for students. But what I think really keeps a school always moving forward and maintaining a strong program that we offer is that we're always improving. And so we, of course, have a school improvement plan and embedded annual processes that we go through. But I see value in the outside eyes coming into our school to give a criteria-based look at what we do, and what we will receive as a report in which it will highlight our strengths. It will identify areas in which we can move forward. And I really look forward to that report in time, as I think it's an opportunity for the school and the instructional leadership team here at Wootton to dive into that report. If you remember, we had an anti-racist audit report that was done for the school last year, and Wootton's ILT and the school itself, we moved ideas, concepts forward based on that report. And so when you have something you can go back to, and it is based on different forms of data, and it's a really reasoned and thoughtful recommendation, we can take action on that. And so I look forward to having another tool to use to bring back to the school and see what we can do. So a great update, and we went through that experience successfully this week. And I also wanted to take a moment to celebrate the wonderful performance that took place here last evening, put on by our Black Student Union in celebration of Black History Month. I want to wish everyone a celebration in Black History Month, February every year. And so here at Wootton, our annual tradition is that we celebrate that with a performance. And so whether it was songs, spoken words, speeches from our Black Student Union leadership, whatever that was, it was a beautiful performance last night, and our students have wonderful things to say. Not all of it is always easy message, right? But I believe our students, we're preparing them to see the world and where we need to go, and to have a space that it really elevates our students, their voice, and what they think about. It's always a very powerful evening for me, and I just want to celebrate the staff and the students that put on a really wonderful performance last night. So those are two quick updates for everyone. A little note as we step into kind of the question and answer portion of Coffee Chat this morning, we do not have any submitted questions in advance. And sometimes we do. I generally start with those because there's some prepared information that I like to bring back. We don't have any this week. So we're going to open up and see if there are any questions from the group. You may submit that in both the chat, or if you want to come off mute, we can take it from there.
How do students hear about different things going on? Like last night was also the Theater Wooten Arts, like a donation fundraiser from Lido's. I knew about it like from your emails or from Dr. Lazarus emails, but my older kid who's in theater like said they never saw anything within the school.
Specifically from, if they heard from Dr. Lazarus, is that not within the school, Allie?
They might have heard about it within their own class, but like it wasn't any sort of announcement. And I was just wondering more in general how they hear about announcements. Like my younger one also has a track meeting today that someone forwarded the email and he didn't hear about that. So I'm just curious, like within the school, how they hear about different things going on.
I'll share a couple of things. I by no means, Allie, in full transparency, feel like when I talk about communication, I get to all of them, right? Because I think a part of this is a place to begin is sometimes communication is as specific as like the sponsor or the event or the individual that is kind of leading on that. What I will share are some places that I know where we communicate regularly. I don't believe that by any means do we get all the communication in one location.
Sure.
That's the truth. But some places that at least are consistent ways in which information goes out. So one way that I know that this specific event was communicated was I saw that in the PTSA's weekly message. So I know that they had put that as an announcement.
Right. Me too, but that's more to parents than to kids again.
Sure. Yep. So that's one way that the flow of information comes out.
Yep.
For students, they're going to, I think of real two ways that the school is formally going to communicate with students. One is through Canvas. So the way that we schedule students, we specifically give them a class based on their administrator so that then we can put them onto Canvas. And then those announcements will go out basically the way that they see an announcement in a class. This just happens to be grade level. So if you have like a college focused event, you wouldn't give that to the 9th graders, but you would give it to the 10th and the 11th graders. So we kind of want control to communicate across grade level. That does happen. I don't know though for this fundraiser if that happened. Another way is when I send out the community update, that also does include students. So if there is just a general announcement, I just find that information if you're a student that wants to get on and take a look at the s'more message. There certainly are student focused opportunities. I want kids to know about that. So they're included on that weekly update as well when that comes out. So that is a flow of information. Then the last one that I think about, but this one's really in control of the specific group. I think our students most oftentimes see about events or hear about things over social media. And whether that is like a student group's Instagram account, whether that's student group like posting something or sending it out on X, whatever that is, I think our students will see things that way. But all of those hit different groups, and it still comes down to whether you see it or not. But those are some ways that I can think that communication goes out.
Got it. Cool. Thanks.
All right, we have one in the chat. So this one's about graduation. I'll go ahead and share it aloud to the group. I know that graduation tickets are being distributed in March prior to spring break. Can you confirm how many tickets are distributed and can you request more if needed? If so, how does that happen? So I'm going to get part of the way with this question and then some of it you're going to have to wait a little bit, but I can share where we'll get more specific in time. So can you confirm how many tickets? I cannot confirm how many tickets at this time. What we will need to do and to set this up, our timeline, what is going to happen now from the end of February up until the first parent meetings happen at the end of March is planning and graduation coordinating teams are going to sit down and do a lot of the very specific details work about graduation. And once we know the spaces or what we need to hold at DAR for specific groups that need to be placed, how many chairs on the floor for the seniors, who gets placed in reserved seating, so on and so forth, then we will know how many tickets we can give out. I can confirm our actual tickets that we will be handing you are beautiful and they are in, so they have arrived. So now we're in the process of planning out exactly what tickets we can give for each family. The second part of this is, will you be able to request more tickets? You will be able to request more tickets. We will share how to do that at the parent meetings that will also be recorded. So we're going to do virtual and in-person options. So we will get you those details and we'll make it really clear what to do if you need to request and how we're going to get those extra tickets out to you. You're welcome. And are there any other questions that anyone would like to ask today, either in the chat or please feel free to come off mute and go ahead and ask that question.
Did they ever figure out the source of the bomb threats?
So, Allie, I can't, this one's definitely in the hands of the police, so I have to be very careful here, right?
Got it. Okay.
So,
I didn't know
what
where
I'm
they
going
were
to
at.
say is this, right? So I, as a principal, have a similar one. It's like, does it feel like the police have something? And yes.
Okay.
So it's going to be there,
Got
and
it.
they'll take it from there. Okay.
Got it. And I respect that. Yep.
Okay.
So I'll ask a question, and I hesitate to ask this just because I'm sure there's a reason behind it, but it just, from a parent perspective, it doesn't make sense. So we've experienced, I have 2 kids at Wooten, and I've experienced a range of, for math classes, a range of availability of homework answers. So some of the teachers post answers to all the homework questions. Some of them post them before quizzes and tests, and some of them post them after quizzes and tests. And I'm just wondering, like, it's very challenging for kids, first of all, not to have the answers to all the questions that they have to do for homework. But second of all, not posting them until after a quiz or test, because how do you know if you're doing them correct if you don't have access to the answers? And you could be studying incorrect for the quiz and the test. So I guess I'm just curious what your thoughts are so is this something we take to the math resource teacher and just say, hey, this doesn't kind of make sense to us, or what?
Yeah, Deborah, you've got it. I think first and foremost, you want that to go back to the resource teacher, because I think I'll start with how we structure at the school and why that matters. So what you're really nurturing is around PLCs. And the concept here, set the math learning aside, the concept around PLCs and what I think about as I guess an add-on or a complement to, if students for whatever reason they need to move or they need to shift, or at any point in time, let's face it, we could have someone who is coming in from Richard Montgomery and joining our school because they've moved recently. There needs to be some continuity. So PLCs are tasked with that. And I think in our math department, you really see certain things that are very much in place. Assessments are consistent. They're given on very much like a calendar approach in which you know which day they're going to be given. So you want that consistency. That comes back to the point that you're making. Well, then if it's homework, why are we giving it out at different times? And I think that really does come back to what a teacher is thinking about when it comes to how they're giving that information out to students. So I would say, yes, the resource teacher, because Ms. White here at Wooten, she has the knowledge of how everyone's connected, where everyone is playing. And she kind of also has that across the whole math curricula. She has a sense of kind of where everyone is. And that's her role. So I would start there directly with the teacher. What I do think about as a former teacher myself is there's some methodology behind it, right? And I think it's fair to ask the question about why you give it before or after, and at least start to hear like, well, what's the thinking? I can only share as a teacher my approach. I'm more of, you might as well provide the students with all the resources that they can have so that they can demonstrate their highest level of mastery that's possible. Like the higher the mastery, the better work we have done. So to me, I'm like, And homework being 10%, much of it is for completion, you know, so in those, I think you might as well resource the kids. But I would also respect my colleagues and say, we want to hear from them about that setup and why.
Yeah, we talked to my current son's math teacher, and basically he's like, well, I don't post it ahead of time because I know some of the kids will just copy it and turn it in, and there's no effort going into it, kind of thing. Which I get, but on the other hand, if
I
you
mean,
have a
but
kid who is, and I guess the
yeah,
problem is that the homework for this particular class, the homework is due Monday the following week. So they do homework Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's due on Monday, but the quiz is on Friday, the prior Friday.
mhm.
So that just didn't really make sense to us.
Yeah, I think that's worth a question there. I also, in the world that we live in, with broad open technology and access, it also seems to me that even if we don't give that one thing to students, they're going to find the exact same problem somewhere on the internet,
Okay.
right?
Maybe
That's going to
maybe
show them
we'll
how to
Google more.
that's going to show them how to solve it, right? These are just the resources that I think that we use, right? In the end, to me, I'm out. What it comes back to me as the principal is, it's how we message our students. And so I think that it's important that they know that if you really aren't putting in the effort, you're only going to take away so much from the experience. And there's only
Yeah,
so much control we have. Like, we get the kids for 42 minutes a day in front
right.
of us that we really are engaged and right in front. So from there, they're on their own, like making decisions for themselves. So I just think we got to be really good messaging. Like, you've got to do the intentional learning. Otherwise, you haven't mastered it. And the truth about math is it builds upon itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Variables and recursive. So you're only working against yourself by
Yeah.
not really putting in the effort to get these concepts down.
Yep. Agreed. And that was kind of our thinking too, is like, well, good for those kids who don't want to do their homework, but what about those who do? So, okay. Thank you.
Sure. Give a little pause to see if there are any other questions from our group this morning. Or even if it's not a question, if there's something that you're curious about, there's anything about upcoming events that I can help share some details, please know. It doesn't have to be a specific question.
Oh, I'll ask another one then. What is
For
going to
it.
happen over the summer? It sounded like there was going to be some,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't want to call it a renovation because I don't think it really is, but what is it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's a renovation, but we've got some improvements coming our way. I have a sense of what it could be, right? But I would start by saying what I think is most important is Wooton in particular. I know this is such an important topic for our community. So if it's important for our topic, and we put a lot of advocacy from our parent groups, our student groups into this specific aspect of the school, then please try to make the community meeting that is coming up. There's going to be details in the community update this week. I also saw it, I think, in the PTSA update, but we've announced a community meeting. So I would love to see a really great turnout to hear more about this. But they are going to be, I think, more focused improvements just in the building. So some things, first of all, reminder, all of the monies that come from this do have a priority to do ADA improvements. So I myself still want to hear like what we're going to do to improve some areas like the bus drop off, so on and so forth for our students that really need that in an old building like this, for our special ed programs in particular. And then from there, other cosmetic things. I imagine we're going to announce some just like school-wide painting areas to improve in bathrooms. So there is a list. What I can say in detail is there was a process by which we heard from the office overseeing this, looking out. They went to multiple groups across the school, students to administrators. They worked with our business office. They looked at specific need areas in the school, built a list, and then prioritized it. So this meeting, my best guess is that they're going to be giving us, now that they had a big list, what they actually know they can do with the funds available. And then they'll want to hear from everyone. So I think it's a really great meeting to try to come out to and join. So hopefully we'll have a good turnout.
So when you say they want to hear what we think, I mean, isn't it kind of like, well, here's what we can do and be happy? Or is it really, we could do A or B?
I truly don't know that.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, every time we have met though with this group and the way they've brought a proposal and then they just want to hear, want to hear thoughts openly from the community. So, but I do believe they'll be bringing a proposal about based on the monies, these are the things they believe we can get kind of improved, cleaned up, made to look better in the school.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions that anyone would like to ask this morning? Okay, well, maybe we might be through our questions this morning. A brief, but I do appreciate the questions that we did get, so I can give some answers and get that out to everyone. Just a reminder where Jessica had let us know this morning, in March, we are adjusting our next coffee meeting date and time. So we will have a coffee chat in the month of March. It happens on a different date. And it happens a little earlier, and that is because we also have spring break in the month of March. So I appreciate everyone's flexibility in making an adjustment. There is a question that you have, as a reminder, please know that you can submit those in advance, and sometimes then I can think of some resources or additional details in the response to provide to you all. I'm happy to do that, so a reminder to submit questions in advance. And thank you all for joining. I think we'll wrap up this morning. I'll ask one more time, any last burning questions? Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for joining. My next step, I'm going back with our staffing team. What is happening, last little note, is MCPS is staffing right now. And so we're making decisions for our programs based on the staffing we have been allocated by the school system. So it's a particularly important time for everybody's building. So we're following up to see what positions we have to offer, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go back to that team and continue our work so that we can bring really great classes and all of the courses and programs that your students want to take for next year. So thanks for joining, everyone, and I'll see you in March for next month's coffee chat. Have a great one.